Hello, I'm Ronnie Eldridge, and welcome to Eldridge and Company. Hi, Jerry, my guest today.
Hi, Ronnie. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Jerry Goldfeder is one of the country's most outstanding electoral lawyers, and he's a good friend, and he's the guide to me for any kind of questions and information about elections and getting on the ballot and then counting the ballots and all of that. So, Jerry, is this the most complicated electoral time you can remember, or is it in the history maybe?
Well, it's not that it's complicated. It's very, perhaps dangerous is the right word. The election is going to proceed the way elections have always proceeded. We'll have more mail-in ballots than normally we have, simply because of the pandemic. But the procedures are pretty much the same. There have been changes here and there to make it easier for people to vote early and to vote by mail. But the procedures that the states adopt are pretty much the same. The problem here is the President of the United States is already claiming that voting by mail is rigged and fraudulent, and that he's not going to leave the White House. And one of his people said that the left is going to be armed and causing violence in the streets if Trump doesn't win, if Trump wins, and so on. So the atmosphere is very different.
Right, but I think it's complicated to people because they see so many different things. You know, they get reports about states and this and all the interference and voter suppression. But I just wanted to take a minute for this. This is all dependent on the census, right? It all started with the census. And I hope that everybody who hasn't filled out a form yet is going to do it, because the census determines the population in the state. That determines the number of officials you have. And along with the census, along in the election, we elect state representatives that are also, I think, start with the base of the Senate. And the reason we're having problems in some states are that so many states are now controlled by Republicans who are following Trump and trying to limit access to vote and times and places and all of that. Don't you think?
Well, so I agree with you, and let me just make one additional point of how important the census is. The census is important because depending upon how many people fill it out, send it in, that's how much money we get from the federal government. And not only that, but it also determines how many members of the House of Representatives we get in relationship to the other states in the rest of the country. And the number of House of Representatives, the number of Congress people, is the same as the number of electoral college votes. So if we fall short in terms of, if New York falls short in terms of filling out the census, we're going to get a lot less money. We're going to have fewer members of Congress and fewer electoral college votes. So we're only hurting ourselves if we don't take the time to fill out the census. So I'm so glad that you brought that up.
Good, thank you. Now let's talk about it, because we have two different things. One is election day and the write-in ballots and access the lines and everything else and who's going to be able to vote. And then the other time is the period after the election, what happens between there and then the inauguration, right?
Right.
I was struck reading some of your stuff, I think, by the number of organizations that are volunteering, that people are recruiting election inspectors in other states, because how important it is that each polling place has an adequate, fast-moving, smart people at the table.
Right. Well, so we're in a better position than we used to be, simply because we now have an expanded ability to vote by mail, and we now have in New York early voting. So when we go to the polls on election day in a presidential year, they are so crowded. I'm sure you remember when you were a district leader, and you go to the polling places for a presidential election, they'd be so crowded. And that's probably going to happen as well. The problem is mitigated to some extent because we now in New York have joined 2/3 of the states, and we now have early voting. And we now, because of the pandemic, we don't need an excuse to vote by mail. Anybody can vote by mail. So I want to encourage all your viewers to vote early. And it would be much better if you voted early than voting on election day, number one. And number two, it would be much better if people voted early rather than mail-in ballots. Because when you mail in a ballot, there are all sorts of little errors that can happen. And a lot of those mailed-in ballots are invalidated. They don't count. And we also have to rely on the post office. And as everybody who's watching your show and reads the paper and listens to TV knows that the post office has been, shall we say, not up to the job lately. And so a lot of people, we experienced this in a primary election not long ago in June. Not everybody gets their absentee ballot in a timely way. And when we do get it in a timely way and we mail it in, the Board of Elections may not get it in time. And so in addition to errors on the absentee ballot, inadvertent errors, there's also a time issue. So vote early. Go to your polling place and vote early, and you know that that will count, as opposed to a mail-in ballot or the crowds on election day.
But you can't always go to your polling place. I mean, the polling places are moved, aren't they? For early
Oh yes,
voting?
the polling places for early voting are different. Yeah. Thanks for pointing that out. That's right. So you really need to check where your early voting polling places are.
So,
and by the way, I want to make another point about early voting. We really don't want a lot of absentee ballots, because that means the results on November 3rd are not going to be the results. We're going to have so many absentee ballots, mailed-in ballots, that need to be counted after November 3rd, that it could take quite some time to get results. So I'm saying this to people all across the country: vote early or vote on election day, because if you mail in, the more votes that are mailed in, the longer it will take. And let's assume the worst. I could be a little partisan, right? Let's assume the worst. Let's say that most of, or many millions of Biden voters vote by mail, and Trump is ahead in some swing states on election day. Ultimately, when all the votes are cast, many of those votes, most of those votes, a plurality, will be for Biden, and ultimately the election will go to Biden. But if Trump is ahead in the swing states on election day, he'll say the votes by mail, they're fraudulent, it's rigged, don't even count them. And it could lead to a situation where those states are really contested and those electoral college votes won't count. It could be really chaotic. So that's why I encourage people to vote early. That's what
the fears are. And those are fears. Has that ever happened where an incumbent refuses to acknowledge the vote? Not the popular vote, but the vote?
So, fun fact, we've had 58 presidential elections, 10 of which the incumbent president lost. In every one of those examples, of those 10, they weren't thrilled about it, they weren't happy, but they left. They said, okay, I lost, I'm not happy, here are the keys to the White House. This president, God knows what he's going to do.
So that's why we have so many people trying to make so many different plans, right? You're now chairing a task force of the New York State Bar Association, and on the force are constitutional scholars, I guess.
Yes.
So tell me what your mission is going to be.
What I've been asked to do in creating this task force is to educate the lawyers in the state, but also the public and the media, so that ordinary citizens who are not constitutional lawyers, who are not election lawyers, understand the process of what will happen after November 3rd through January 20th, when the new president is sworn in. And we're going to issue a report in very, I hope, plain language, so that everybody understands what the process are and what the legal issues are in lay terms, so that, number one, the media can report it correctly, because they don't always do that. And number two, that the public really understands it. And that's what the Bar Association's asked us to do.
So in what case do you think people will need to have that information?
Well, so November 3rd, we have millions of absentee ballots, and they need to be counted in each state. And there will probably be lawsuits in each state, or the major states, or the swing states, the battleground states, to ascertain who actually won in that state. And that could take weeks. Remember, in 2000, it took 36 days for there to be after Election Day, for there to be a determination as to who won. Turns out that Bush won in Florida, and therefore he won the presidency. And there's a window by which these votes really need to be counted, because the electors, the presidential electors, need to meet. This year, they're meeting on December 14th. So if
Sorry, say it again.
December 14th. The statute is the first Monday after the second Wednesday in December. I don't know who came up with this cockamamie formula, but that's what they did. So if we are not certain who won in our state by December 14th, our electors can't meet. And that means that all the electors have not been chosen. And that could mean that nobody has 270 electoral college votes. And if that happens, because there are a number of states who have so many absentee ballots that they haven't figured out who won, and therefore they don't have an electoral college vote, and therefore they're not meeting. And if neither one of the candidates has 270 electoral college votes, the House of Representatives chooses the president. We've had that twice in our history. The last time was 1824, a long time ago, but it could happen. And the reason the Republicans might want to create that kind of chaotic situation where a number of states have not chosen their electors because of this ton of absentee ballots is because they control the delegations of the House of Representatives. Each state has one vote to choose the president, and they're banking on the fact that they can control 26 delegations, even though they don't have a majority in the House. They'll have, if they control the delegations, they're more likely to be able to elect Trump that way than through the normal way. So it's these kinds of technical issues.
It's just the House that votes, not the Senate.
For president, yeah.
But presumably, that's another reason why you have to, when you vote, you have to go down the whole ballot.
That's right. That is absolutely right.
So
even though Democrats control the House of Representatives, Republicans at this time control 26 delegations. 26 states are controlled by Republicans. And that's the number that you need to elect a president, because there's 50 states, so it's 26 votes president. So this is why the Bar Association has created this task force. So as these procedures unwind, and if we're in a chaotic situation, we can explain it so people can really understand what's happening.
Right, but we also worry, don't we, that some of the Republican governors might decide not to recognize all the electors who are elected
Yeah,
or
exactly.
appointed. Are
Exactly.
electors appointed?
The electors,
Yeah,
the actual people are chosen through party conventions for the
okay,
most part.
yeah,
So like the Democratic State Party just put together and elected the slate of electors pledged to Biden. The Republicans did the same. But whoever wins a plurality in the state, those electors pledged to that candidate are the ones who win. And it's a winner take all. So, for example, if Biden wins, for argument's sake, 51% in New York, 51-49, just as a hypothetical, he would get the electors, and he would get all of our 29 electors.
but not every state has the winner take all, do they?
Yes, and as a matter of fact, every state does have
It does.
a winner take all. There are 2 states that divide that apportion their electors differently, Maine and Nebraska, because they have a different system. It's not just a statewide thing, it's by congressional district. But 48 states and Washington, D.C., is whoever wins a plurality, they win all the electors, and that's that. And you asked me, what happens if the governor doesn't respect it? If it's very close, the Board of Elections, or whatever they call it in a state, can say the winner is Biden. And then the governor, who's Republican, can say, no, it's been unfair, there's been suppression of the vote, there's been fraudulent voting, the winner really is Trump. And they can send 2 sets of electors, 2 envelopes to Congress. And when Congress tallies the votes of the Electoral College, they open them up. And if they have 2 envelopes, then it's just like the Academy Awards. You don't, it's, you open up the envelope to see who won, and then they can fight about it.
And
we haven't had that in a very long time.
Yeah.
But it could very well happen.
And in each of the things leading up to December, what date did you say, 14th?
December 14th, yeah.
There are all these little lawsuits. I mean, they're not so little. We've had them now. So little.
Yeah.
Right. And we see the effect of Trump having the power to appoint the judges, aren't we? It's amazing how we really see the direct evidence of everything we've been afraid of.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
Right. And do you know how many lawsuits there are pending now? Pennsylvania has a lawsuit. Is that settled?
It's not settled yet.
Yeah.
It's not settled. There are lawsuits all across the country.
What are they? Give me an example of what they could be.
Like if a state makes it easier, well, Pennsylvania is a good example. If a state has made it easier for people to vote by absentee ballot, the Republicans, actually the Trump campaign, sued the state of Pennsylvania, saying that they didn't have the authority to make it easier for people to vote by absentee ballot. And they raised all sorts of arguments.
Yeah.
And they're doing that throughout the country.
Yeah, they lost a
They've
case.
They've done that in Iowa. They've done it in a variety of states.
Yeah.
And it's going through the legal system.
Right. So it all takes time. And the public pays money of the cost, right?
Well, what's important in terms of our conversation is it causes real confusion among voters, and voters don't know, well, can I vote by absentee ballot? Can I, am I given that opportunity? What happens if I forget to, in some states, there's a cure period. So if you vote by absentee ballot, you forget to sign your name on the envelope that has the ballot. Some states will have a procedure where they'll call you up and they'll say, you forgot to sign your name, come and fix it. Or we'll send it to you and you can fix it. Most states don't have that, but a full 19 states do have that. And there are lawsuits whether or not that should be permitted as well. In other words, any little expansion of the ability of people to vote is being challenged in the courts.
Now, in between, after Election Day, when the results are in, there is what we call a transition period, right? With an official transition where one government is supposedly informing the new government of all kinds of things and different policies and stuff, right?
Right.
So what happens if there are all these challenges and we're still in court?
Then there's no official winner yet. And we need an official winner.
Is that by legislation, the transition?
Yes.
Yes. It's
It
not
is.
in the Constitution, though.
No. It's a transition. So just think of it. November 3rd is election day. People can vote early, especially in New York. People can vote starting, I think it's October 24th. And people should be encouraged to vote early. People can mail in ballots. So on November 3rd, we'll have the results of whoever votes early and whoever votes on November 3rd, but we won't have the results of who votes by mail, because those are counted afterwards. And boards of elections can get, depending upon the state, they can get those ballots in their hand a week after or 10 days after. It depends on the state. And a final determination as to who won needs to be done so that the electors from the states can meet on December 14th. And then they could send in the results to Congress, because Congress opens up all these envelopes from the states on January 6th. And January 20th is when the new president is sworn in. So if the results are still being fought over, and there are still lawsuits, when Congress meets to count the Electoral College votes on January 6th, and nobody has won because everybody's still fighting about it, then it could go to the House of Representatives. And that needs to be done so that a new president is sworn in, or the old president is sworn in on January 20th. And his term ends on January 20th at noon, no matter what. And so if this doesn't happen, even by January 20th, and there's no resolution as to who won the presidency and the vice presidency, then the Speaker of the House becomes the acting president. And presumably that will continue to be Nancy Pelosi. So if the Republicans continue to fight over every ballot, and there's no result by January 20th, when Trump's term is up, they will have handed the presidency to Nancy Pelosi, at least temporarily.
People who want to volunteer to be to be inspectors or to work in the Board of Elections, what should they do? Should they call the Board of Elections in their
Yes,
county?
absolutely.
Yeah. Because it's very needed. And
it really is, because most of our poll workers are old like us and are afraid to work, understandably.
Right.
And we always need more poll workers. We're trying to recruit lawyers and law students to do it, but everybody should be encouraged to
anybody who's eligible, anybody who's an eligible voter.
That's right.
Yeah.
And frankly, the people get trained. Mm-hmm. The pay is terrible. The hours are long, but it's really important that we do this. And
it's very exciting, I think. It's always exciting.
It's always, you get a chance to meet a lot of great people.
Right.
When you sit in there all day.
We haven't, in my youth, somebody came back and he wanted to know if I was poll watching for the American Labor Party, which in those days was known as the Communist Party. I said no, and then he invited me out for dinner. Anyway, we haven't spent any time.
But wait a minute. Did you go? Did you go out with him?
Eventually, I did. Yeah. Okay. We haven't spent any time talking about all these exercises that some people do, and that the Transition Integrity Project or something, which was a group of college professors and interested Democrats. And they did this whole it's a science the way they did it. Obviously, they're very involved in management and stuff like that, so it's very scientific in the groups. But they played all these different scenarios about what would happen if this happened, and it was like warfare. You know how you.
It was like war games. That's right.
Yeah, and that's the kind of thing that's happening in the country. I think the fear generally of this.
I think there's tremendous fear. I feel it, you feel it, and I think most people who have any interest in what's happening really we just can't wait to get this election over with. I'm feeling that the country is imploding, and I'm very nervous about the orderliness of this election. I really am, and we don't usually feel that way. We feel like, well, we want our side to win, and if we don't win, we're disappointed. But that's it.
Well, let's hope that you're wrong. And
I hope that I'm wrong.
Goes smoothly.
I hope you're right.
And that we're happy with the results.
I hope you're right.
So, Mr. Expert, lots of good luck with your task force, and lots of good luck with our future. Thank you. Thank you.
There's a lot depending on it.
There is. So vote. Be sure to vote. Okay.
Vote early.
Thanks.
Always good to see you, Ronnie.
Thank you. And thank you for listening. Bye.